back to OpenLine. We were talking about homelessness in Nashville. We have with us the head of the Metro Homelessness Commission, Will Conley, and also Eric Cole, director of the Office of Economic Opportunity and Empowerment, both from the mayor's office, Mayor Megan Barry. Let's go back to the phones. Robert. Hello, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
If you check with Urban Housing Solutions on 822 Woodland Street and Nashville 37210, you can get some help and find some place you can afford to pay some rent somewhere. I'm not quite homeless, but I'm awful close. Without my wife, I would be homeless. I'm borderline homeless, so without my wife, I live on $500-something a month. It's not hard to live there. The apartment I live in has been sold. I have a small house in the back house. I've got to move back. I've not been served eviction notice yet, but I've already been through a bunch of stuff to try to just find a place I can afford to even live. It's not funny.
No, that's great.
I feel very sad how people are treating people who are down and out. I think they want to try to get you out of town because you ain't got the money. If you ain't got the money, they don't want to fool with you. They don't want to. You don't get you guys get rid of you. That's maybe it's just me. I don't know. But anyway, these people help me a lot. Urban House Solutions.
All right, thank you. So it brings up a couple of things, but he's talking about a place where people can go. But that other point, if we don't have enough money, they want you out of town. That's how some people feel. What about what some of the things he's saying there? Will, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Robert mentioned Urban Housing Solutions, so they're one of our biggest, partners in the effort to end homelessness. So they have around 300 units that are really geared towards people with the lowest incomes, and then they have at least another 700 that are affordable for folks and that fall into that $400 to $600 range. They do have a wait list though, and so I don't want folks to think that there's 700 units available there right now, but definitely grateful to have them in our community and working to try to make housing more affordable.
And what about his other point? His concern that if there's not enough money, they want you to move out of town.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think Robert's call really illustrates, and I'm really thankful that he called and talked about his situation, because clearly, he's making it. He's relying on his wife. He's having to piece things together. As he said, it's not fun. But Robert's the picture, Robert's the image of homelessness, I think, that we see more often than maybe the public eye thinks about when they think about folks that are down and out. And so I think the more people can hear Robert's story, that's the kind of person we want in Nashville. He's working hard. He's trying to make it work. So the more we can tell that story and help people like Robert help themselves, the better off the whole city will be. And I think that's kind of a lot of what the mayor ran on, and I think that's a lot of how this administration is being shaped is, how can we give people like Robert the tools and the assistance they need to succeed?
Well, let's go to David. Hello, David.
I'm here. Hello.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so one thing that, might weave its way in from the side on, I can tell you, it's just in my humble opinion, I guess, there would be more homeless non-custodial parents, mostly men. There would be more homeless men if we were all able to pay, if we paid child support instead of rent. Because I'm telling you, the way they come about collecting it and getting half of a person's net pay, there would just be a lot more homeless men. If you look at the backlog of child support, it's a big problem in the state. But so is affordable housing. So how do you stay in the same town with your kids, have affordable housing, pay your bills? I have simple goals in life. I'm a 51-year-old American. I'm not a criminal, but I've been treated like a criminal.
Because did you fall behind?
I fell behind. I've been incarcerated. I'm a veteran. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm a whole lot of things. I used to be proud to be from Tennessee. But the policies, the people that are the policymakers and the people that are the employers can't have it both ways. You can't have somebody who wants to work, pay their bills, and see their kids, and live in the street. And that's the way a lot of fathers in Tennessee have been treated. I'm not alone. There are.
And you're saying the way they garnish wages leads to homelessness? Is that what you're saying?
Saying it. I'm telling you, if I worked on the books right now, if I worked on the books instead of off the books, I would be homeless. I'd be living in a shelter. I've done it before in the last 6 years. I've done it before.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I don't know, any comment there?
Well, I mean, we hear that story often. And child support's a very complex issue. It's a state policy, a state issue that the state looks at very hard, from a really spends a lot of time working on it from really both sides. I do know, working with veterans through Operation Stand Down, backlog of child support can follow you from state to state. It can be a barrier, and there's another side, obviously, in a child support situation. But I think trying to look at some of those issues in a concentrated way, hopefully partnering with state government, is kind of the way we can start looking at some of those solutions.
When we start talking about homelessness and the high rents that we're seeing, and I guess affordable housing, you start getting into what other cities have done. There's rent control, okay? In New York City, there's rent control. That's not an option here, right? Mm-mm. And why not?
It's not I don't think it's a marketplace or a cultural option in Tennessee in general. From a simply metro perspective, there's a state law that limits some of the things we can do as a city related to controlling rents in projects that we fund, which is an issue that we're looking at and have to work around. But by and large, it's just not something I think as a community has developed in Nashville or Tennessee or the South.
And when we talk about housing projects in Nashville, we've seen some go away. Now they've built some, I guess, different units there. What is the status of housing projects? And I don't know if that's even the right term anymore in Nashville. And how does the fact that we have done away with the traditional kind of public housing impacted our homeless problems in Nashville, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm probably not the right person to ask about the status of public housing developments. That's like, housing stock that MDHA operates. I do know that a lot of those units, are within reach of folks who have the lowest incomes in Nashville, and so we do try to help people connect to public housing units, and some. I think you're talking about maybe the public housing development on Charlotte over there, or other developments that used to be called Hope 6. I think.
Right.
So I think when there's a redevelopment like that, sometimes the mix of tenants can change. For example, it can go from individuals to families, or and create a different mix there that might rule out some folks that would have gotten access in the past, I guess. So it's a redevelopment of public housing is a pretty controversial issue. There's and around the country, I guess. That conversation started a year or two ago around Casey Homes. There's a redevelopment plan there that MDHA can talk about way better than I can. I don't want to get near.
It's a whole other show.
Right.
So yeah, Eric, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but
that issue, there was Hope 6. That was a big deal. And we're seeing around some of the public housing now huge communities sprouting up, and the pressure on them would only grow, it seems like. And so how does that feed into all of this, whether it be affordable housing or homelessness?
Yeah, and it's a lot of what the conversation is about right now. I mean, we have areas of town that are very hot economically. If you look at some of those areas, they are also areas that have traditionally had more of our affordable housing. So it's why an approach that the city addresses needs to be countywide, and it needs to look at what those different issues are. I mean, it needs to both be countywide, but also be specific, because in some cases, what's going to work in an East Nashville or an Inglewood may be different than what would work in the Nations or 12 South. So we got to kind of walk that balancing line. But we also have to look in the future in all of this work about not reconcentrating poverty. I mean, we need, most of the studies, most of the work that's out there talks about mixed income communities being the most productive, the best way to kind of create communities and neighborhoods and preserve communities and neighborhoods. So we've got to do that, and then we have to look at the preservation piece. That's why property tax assistance, property tax freeze, home repair, home renovation is also another piece. So we have to do a lot of things at once and do them well.
All right, we have a bunch of calls, so hold on the line. We're going to take a quick break. Then we'll come back. We'll start taking the calls. Alfred, Lewis, others. Hold on the line. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.